Oh boy, religion. Woohoo. Just to let you guys know, I'm not very religious. I'm not even really part of any religion, to be honest with you. They all drive me crazy in some senses. But the thing about religion and fan fiction is it's a touchy subject. If you're writing a fanfic about like a show or book that involves a lot of aspects of religion, then I wouldn't mind it. Or if the character that you're writing about is someone who is religious, I wouldn't mind it. But if it's a story like, oh, I forgot the name of it. It's a Harry Potter fan fiction that was reviewed by the FanFic Critic, not me. The other fanfic critic, she goes by the name of the FanFic Critic. She read this fanfic about Harry Potter discovering religion and discovering that Hogwarts is evil and crap like that. Pretty much the story was the author shoving their religious views down your throat. It was bad. It really was bad. And the author was so conceited that they gave themselves a positive review saying that their fanfic was a masterpiece. No, I don't like fanfics like that where the author is pretty much shoving their religious views down the reader's throats. And the thing about that author, the thing is, it was clear to both the fanfiction critic and myself when I was watching her show that the author had never even read a Harry Potter book. So that makes it even worse. So, to answer your question, if an author puts like religion in the story or makes one of the characters religious, it really does depend. It really does. If they do it correctly without having it be too overwhelming, then it would be fine. Well, I'd have to say my favorite author is definitely J.K. Rowling. I mean, I know she only wrote the Harry Potter book series, but you know, I grew up reading those books. I still love them to death. I think they're awesome. So I'd have to say she's definitely my favorite author. Well, seeing I don't really watch a whole lot of anime, the one that I am most familiar with would definitely have to be Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So my favorite anime character would definitely have to be Son Goku from Dragon Ball. If I'm familiar with the sci-fi TV show in question that the fanfic's about, I will probably like it. If you mean like also sci-fi as in movies, like, you know, like Star Trek and stuff, if the fanfic is well written, I'll most likely like it. I mean, it's not really about the genre itself, it's more about how the story is written. Does it have a good plot? Are the characters realistic? Is the grammar good? I mean, that's the basics that you need for a good story. I mean, you could have a story that has like the best story line in the entire world, but if the grammar is awful, the story itself is bad. Or you could have a story where the grammar is really, really good, but the storyline and plot is just garbage. You need all three elements, I think, to make a really good story. So if someone wrote a really good sci-fi story, like, say about like Stargate, for example, and if I read it, I would probably like it. Even if I'm not too familiar with the TV show Stargate. I'm familiar with some of it, but I didn't really watch it when I was growing up, so I'd probably like it, though. How did I get started? Yeah, the fanfic critic. It was quite by accident, let me assure you. Thing is, before I was the fanfic critic, I was a fellow member of fanfiction.net. For those who have watched episode 45, you know that. My account still exists. I am Todd666. All my stories are Sweeney Todd stories. I really love Sweeney Todd, so I decided to write fanfics about Sweeney Todd, most of them being Sweenettes. Sorry. So one day, I was going through that section of fanfiction.net, and this one little fanfic caught my eye called Mrs. Lovett's Lesson. I read the description, and I knew it wasn't going to be completely nice to Mrs. Lovett, but I decided to give it a chance. Because, you know, I wasn't expecting what I read. And for those who saw my review of that fanfic and have read the fanfic yourself, you can pretty much get what I mean by the fact that that story was very disturbing, and I hated it. I thought the characters were out of character. I thought it was over the top with some of the violent stuff. I thought that Sweeney was a complete jerk. I thought Mrs. Lovett was an idiot. Toby didn't seem to exist in the story. And, you know, I was so frustrated with that story. A brief bit of personal information. When I was younger, I used to record video diaries. I somewhat do now, not very often, but you know, kind of like writing in a diary, except instead of writing in a diary, you're just filming a diary. So I decided to film this one little diary of me ranting about the fanfic. I went so far as to read the fanfic out loud, and after I ended the diary and decided to rewatch it, I'm like, hey, you know what? I could make something of this. So I re-recorded myself reading the story several times until I finally came up with the FanFic Critic. Unfortunately, I don't have the original episodes of the old FanFic Critic, but that's fine, they were crappy anyway. So pretty much that's how it all started. And let me tell you, even though I started recording the FanFic Critic, I didn't upload any episodes online for a while. I'd say the first episode of FanFic Critic was probably filmed roughly around New Year's 2009. I know I was in college, so I'd say roughly around New Year's of 2009. And I didn't start uploading FanFic Critic online until June of 2009. And I didn't start putting FanFic Critic on YouTube until January of 2010. So when I aired the first episode of FanFic Critic on YouTube, it was already a year old at that point. Why I didn't upload them right away? Well, like I said in someone else's question, I wasn't very confident that it would be good. So when I was encouraged to put it online, I first put it on MySpace. A, because because videos on MySpace could be as long as possible, and B, because I thought it would be a good place to start. Unfortunately, though, MySpace, I didn't really get a lot of feedback, but I was still kind of nervous about putting on YouTube. But after my friends talked me into it, I finally put on YouTube. That's why when I first premiered on YouTube, I uploaded a whole bunch of episodes at once, because I was just trying to catch up, because when I was uploading on MySpace, I would do one episode per week, like I am doing now. But to have the YouTube episodes match up with the MySpace episodes, I just uploaded them all at once. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I started. What type of fanfics do I like? Fanfics that are written good and fanfics that I'm familiar with, you know, the genre they're about. Like if I'm reading a fanfic about like a movie that I've never seen, I probably won't really get what's going on. But if the story is well written enough, I'll probably enjoy it, but probably not as much as I should. Kind of like with that Rocky Horror and Beavis and Butthead crossover. At the time, I didn't really know much about Beavis and Butthead, so I couldn't really enjoy the fanfic to its fullest. If I was to reread it now, I'd probably like it a lot because, you know, I have watched Beavis and Butthead since then, and I can definitely say that that fanfic did a really good job having Beavis and Butthead interact with the Rocky Horror Picture Show cast. So, let's move on to the next question. Me and Susan. Well, let's put it this way. Susan and the FanFic Critic are like two sides of a coin. That coin would be me, Megan Wessels. When I do the show FanFic Critic, I tend to show you guys my more crazy, over-the-top anger management side, whereas when you see Susan, she is calm, collected, keeps to herself, sarcastic, kind of finds, you know, the FanFic Critic weird, but likes her all the same. So it's like two sides of a coin, pretty much. Oh yeah, I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've seen it like 10 times. I haven't seen it in a live theater though, unfortunately. I hear those theaters are a lot of fun. Haven't had the chance to actually go to one of those showings. I wouldn't mind to do so someday, but yeah, I'm definitely familiar with Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror is awesome. It's very weird, but it's enjoyable. Did you know that it has a sequel? I haven't seen the sequel yet. I'll check it out though. I think Morgan has a copy of it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I hope to God no. I mean, she might, but it probably won't be to the extent of how she showed up in the past, if you know what I mean. Seeing the FanFic Critic, or I defeated her, so I don't think she'll be coming back unless she takes over the FanFic Critic's body. Hopefully that won't happen. Yes. Yeah, I've written fanfics before. Most of you guys who have seen episode 45 know that, and if you guys have checked out the Todd666 profile, you'll see that I've written quite a few. Not like a whole bunch like some people. Geez, I've seen some people have written like over 80 fanfics. I think mine's like over 10. And they're all Sweeney Todd fanfics. So yeah, I've written fanfics. My thoughts about being a writer, well, it's a lot of fun. You get your creative juices out, but it can be very stressful. And as you guys can tell on the updates of those fanfics, I haven't written in a while. I'm not even sure if I will continue writing. But yeah, I mean, I can understand. It can be stressful being a writer, but when I was a writer, I tried to write my best. Even if the fanfic wasn't exactly great looking back on it, I tried to make it the best I could at the time. I noticed little mistakes in my own fanfics, but when I would notice them, when I would read them on FanFiction.net, you want to know what I would do? I would go into my profile, edit the fanfic, and fix the mistake. Most people don't seem to do that. They seem to just leave their mistakes. I would try to fix them. You know, I gave a crap about my stories. I didn't want any issues with them. I wanted people to like them, and I wanted them to be perfect. That's why it bothers me when people have really bad grammar, because, you know, if I see a story with awful grammar, that pretty much tells me that the author does not give a crap about their fanfic. They don't give a crap about it at all. That's just my opinion. I guess my eyes scare you? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look at some clips from my show and see how scary my eyes really are. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I really do scare the crap out of you guys sometimes, don't I? I don't mean to. Oh, you know, sometimes I don't realize how close I get to the camera. Even though I say I don't realize it, I still do the close-ups. But I think I'm doing them far away, and then I'll rewatch and I'll be like, yeah, too close. A little too close. Ugh. Sorry. If I do freak any of you guys out, I am very sorry. I am being honest with you. I am very, very sorry. I don't need to be scary. Well, sometimes I do, but not all the time. So let's move forward to the next question.